Draft day 2022 with the Boston Bruins. Don Sweeney's the general manager. I'm making this video because by far the Bruins did by far the worst of any team in the NHL, and it wasn't even close at acquiring futures and draft picks. I'm gonna start calling this Sweeneying. Uh, it's been like this on draft day pretty much every year since the 2015 draft blunder John Sweeney had when he drafted DeBrusk, Senyshyn, and Zaboral in the first round. It's frustrating. Some years they'll have their first round pick, but they always trade it. They have one first round pick in their entire system, and their AHL, in their prospect list. He's not even in the AHL yet. It's Fabian Lysell. Probably only a matter of time before he'll probably get traded at the trade deadline this upcoming year. Anyway, let's dive into it. First round pick, they didn't have any. It was a part of the Lindholm deal. They also don't have a second round pick for the next 2 years as a part of the Lindholm deal. I'm not even going to try to pronounce these names. I couldn't find a reliable pronunciation guide, and I don't remember how they pronounce the names. So I'm going to go with center they picked with their second round pick. He's all right. I don't know that he doesn't seem to have anything in his potential in any scouting report that says he'll be a number one center. His highest potential is a 2 center, but a lot of projections have him as a 3 center. So we'll see. At least they have a center, so that's good. Third round picks, they didn't have any. The one they had, they traded for Mike Riley. And they had Calgary's, in the whole Dan Vladar trade. Don Sweeney decided not to draft. He was just going to take a 4th round pick and a 5th round pick in exchange. So now you're trading down in the draft to avoid drafting. So that's great. Yeah. So a 4th round pick comes, and the Bruins actually draft 2 players. That's good. They drafted 2 centers. They're all right. Neither of them have high upside potential. They're both projecting to be bottom 6 centers, which John Sweeney loves to. He loves bottom 6 centers. That's just his thing. 5th round comes. They have Seattle's pick because they just traded down for it, and they had Washington's pick. So they get a defensive player, which is good. Any prospects of any position are more than welcome in the Bruins organization at this point because they don't have anybody. And then Boston's 5th round pick, they traded that for Josh Brown. I feel like there's another pick involved with that trade that the Bruins gave. I think it was a 3rd round for next year. Maybe I can look that up real quick. I don't know. Maybe not. Anyway. Okay. 6th round pick, they drafted goalie, which is fine. That's 5th round, 6th round. That's usually where you're drafting a bunch of goalies. That's their own pick. 7th round pick, they had Ottawa's pick. They drafted. Oh, this is an exchange with the Josh Brown deal. They got a 7th round pick back. They drafted. I can say this dude's name, Jackson Edwards, defensive player. But Boston, when it came to their pick, they just traded it to the LA Kings in exchange for the Kings next year 7th round pick, which is kind of baffling. I mean, it's not like the Bruins have a high 7th round pick this year, but the Kings are making a very good case to be Stanley Cup contenders next year. They have a lot of young guys who got NHL exposure last year, a lot of high-end prospects that should be beginning to excel this year. They looked good at the end of last season. They just acquired Fiala. I don't know, man. At this point, it feels like you're just trading down. I don't want to draft this year. We'll just take a lesser pick next year in the last round. It's just ridiculous. Or if not, the Kings should make the playoffs next year, or at least be around that. So you're at the very best, you're getting a mid 7th round pick. And with the Bruins, their roster, their injuries they have to McAvoy and Marchand to start the season off, we don't even know if the Bruins are going to make the playoffs this year. They might not be playoff contenders at all. You're better off just, I don't know. So we'll see. So, in a nutshell, the Bruins got 3 centers, 2 defensemen, and a goalie. They only had 1 pick in the top 3 rounds. It was a second round pick. So 1 pick. They had 2 picks in the 4th, 1 pick in the 5th, 1 pick in the 6th, 1 pick in the 7th. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 picks in total. 1 in the top 3. 1, 2, 3 picks of their own. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on this second round pick to become something because the Bruins don't have a farm system, and he's probably going to be their highest rated prospect in the Providence Bruins farm system when he joins, aside from Fabien Lysell. But Lysell plays defense, and he's a centerman, and the Bruins desperately need centermen. There's going to be a lot of pressure on this kid to grow up and develop quickly. And it's nice for the kid to get NHL experience at some point in the near future, but at the same time, it's the expectations of this kid to perform at a number 1 draft round pick is going to be insane and shouldn't be expected, especially when he doesn't project to be a top-line center. He could. You never know with these prospects. He could be like the next Patrice Bergeron or something. Remember, Marchand was drafted in the 3rd round and has turned into a point-per-game player. An all-around great player. Marchand, great defensively. Fights, apparently. A leader, a heart and soul guy. So you never know, because Marchand was projected to be like a middle 6 winger as well, and that was good. That was a steal in the 3rd round, and he's by far a top-line winger. So you never know, but I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on this kid like there is Jack Studnicka. Studnicka was also not a first-round pick. So we'll see what happens. Once you start getting into the 2nd round, it's very hit or miss as to who will become an NHL player. And once you get into the 3rd round, it's quite rare that you're going to find an NHL player. Not exceedingly rare, but like, I don't know. There's probably like 4 to... It really depends on the year. There's been years where it'll be 1 player from the 3rd round will be an NHL player. There's been years where it's like 20 players will be an NHL player. 20 might be a little high, but more likely than not, you're not going to find an NHL player in the 3rd round. And beyond that, it's just you're just reaching for straws, man. So we'll see. Bruins do not really add much, if anything, to their prospect pool. Trade deadline is approaching us. They may have to trade off a prospect to acquire more cap space because they have a lot of dead contracts at the moment. So this hot mess of crap is what I'm going to start calling Sweeneying. With the Bruins today, they Sweeneyed. I don't know. As a Bruins fan, it's super frustrating to see this happen every year. And I wasn't expecting Sweeney to make any sweeping changes, but I was expecting him to not trade down for picks. Keep your 3rd round pick. You don't need a 4th and a 5th round. The likelihood of getting an NHL player from the 4th and 5th round is significantly less than getting one in the 3rd round. Keep your 3rd round pick. You already have a 4th round pick. You don't have a 5th round pick. Fine. Don't know why you're swapping 7th round picks. That's just silly. What are we doing at this point? Like, what? As a Bruins fan, it's frustrating, and every social media post about the draft, or really since the Cassidy firing, is just straight targeted at Sweeney and Neely, as it should be. It's really getting to the point where you just don't have any assets to build up a team. You don't have any cap space to sign anybody. You have a bunch of dead contracts, a bunch of aging players. All of your players that are elite, aside from Pastrnak, who may leave in free agency because of past events with Sweeney, we'll see. And you have Charlie McAvoy, who's 24. Lindholm's 28, so that's good, and Carlo's 25. So you got some defense there, but you got 3 guys. Like you got to do a little better. They're digging themselves into a hole. It's just it's already past the point of being able to do a retool, because it's going to have to be an intense retool of this team. It's getting to the point where they're going to have to tear everything down and fully rebuild it. It's going to be a shame, and I feel for some of the veteran players like Marchand. Wow. Yeah, Marchand. Bergeron will retire. Pastrnak, if he sticks around, I'll feel for him. Taylor Hall, still pretty new to the team. Coyle, fairly new, a couple years. Jake DeBrusk, he's young. He's had some ups and downs. Foligno will retire. Smith's probably gone. Haula hasn't been here long. Nosek hasn't been here long. Wagner isn't going to play with the Bruins next year. I don't know. Yeah. So, I guess I feel bad for Marchand. We'll see. Let me know what you think. They going to fire Sweeney yet? Please. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. Take care.